Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
My name is Oluwaseun. So, welcome to the Angular Meetup. Sorry, I didn't prepare as much information as started, but my name is Oluwaseun. You can find that, you can send an email to me as shown at oluwaseun.com.ng and I will always respond. Okay. So, I'll be for these few minutes, I'll be, how long do I have?
Yeah, I think it's about 30 minutes.
After saying that, just slides will come out. Okay, so for these few minutes, I've been talking about the Angular.json file. So I'm trying to keep it. I'm going to keep it very, very simple and just go straight to the point most of the time. Try to explain how it all works, what it all do, how it fits together, and stuff like that. So understanding the Angular.json file. So introduction. What is the Angular.json file? Why should you care about it? What can you do with it? Structure of the Angular.json file and how can you make use of it. So the Angular.json file is a file named Angular.json at the root level of an Angular workspace provides workspace wide and project specific configuration defaults for build and development tools provided by the Angular CLI. So all this story basically meaning that when you create a new project with Engineer is the command line tool that you install when you have to create Angular apps. You install it with npm install global Angular CLI, right? So when you install the Angular CLI, you try to create a new Angular project. This Angular.json file is created automatically for you, so you don't even have to do anything about it. But we are going to be playing around with it a little bit today so that when you have to make use of it, you know where to look for it and how to make use of it. You might probably going to need it later on, but I'm just going to just explain, show you how to make use of it. So key notes, it is located at the root of an Angular workspace slash project. Now that workspace here slash project, workspace is can comprises of a lot of different Angular projects itself, right? So you can call a workspace one single project, right? But there's now also contain other Angular projects, another Angular libraries, and other stuff as well. So they call it workspace in general. Okay, so it's you only need one single Angular.json file for the whole workspace. Okay, it's what helps you manage whole Angular projects in it, all the Angular projects in it. Then it provides workspace wide and project specific configuration, meaning that you can choose to set a particular configuration for the whole workspace, that's for the whole application. I'm going to show you, I've created like two together project Angular projects within this slide. So I'm going to show you how we did that and how you can manage those three Angular projects and like two other libraries using one single Angular.json file. Right? Then it is used by the Angular CLI itself. It is used by the Angular CLI itself. You don't have to use it. You don't have to make use of it. You are not using it yourself. Sorry, let me come again. You are not making use of it. Okay, so you are not making use of the Angular.json file. It is consumed. It is used by the Angular CLI itself for setting up your projects, for setting up your tasks and stuff, all that stuff. Then it is created automatically by Angular. After that, there, so you don't have to create it by yourself. It is there automatically. It is what powers your project when you are running ngbuild, ngserve, or any other end command within an Angular workspace. Okay. So here is a typical example of a fresh project that was created with Angular CLI. The name is My Angular App. It was created with ng new My Angular App, right? So it's created this for me. I didn't do anything. It just created this for me. So this is the Angular.json file. Oh, it's too small. Sorry about that. Okay.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
Don't
It
worry.
is like.
Should I open them on my phone? That phone.
Okay.
Let me
Okay. Is this still open?
it's somewhere close.
Sorry. No, I think I should go to Zoom meeting. Don't worry, I can't. Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice. So this small stuff Angular.json. This is how it appears. It's a JSON file by itself, right? So the name is Angular, then it's a .json file, right? So that's all that it is. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just one small file, right? And this is the content in it. So right now, the content in it has been collapsed to make it readable, right? So you have the schema, you have the version, you have the new project, and the default. I'm going to go into more detail shortly on what all of this are. So, but this is your Angular.json file. That's all you need to know about it. Okay? So, why should you care about the Angular.json file? Rephrasing myself again. You don't need to care about the file. Because if you probably don't need it, then you don't need it. Okay, but when you need it, you know where to find it. Something like that. Okay, so if you don't need it, you don't have to bother yourself with editing it. It's not a must. Angular CLI does that for you automatically. Okay, so the Angular JSON file is managed and used by the Angular CLI itself. You need if you the only time you should care about this is when you need more fine-tune control over your Angular project, or when you have to edit your configuration, or you need to change your build process or stuff like that. That's when you need to do this. Right? I'll give you a typical example. I'm jumping ahead, but a typical example is when you need to add a library to your project, for instance, Bootstrap, Materialize, Moment, right? You need to add them using the you add them normally using npm or any other way you add them. But then, if you are adding it to your project itself, it is recommended that you add it using the Angular.json file. So you add this one into something that is called the scripts or the style array. I'll show you that very shortly there as well. Then that's part of when you actually need the Angular.json. But otherwise, you don't need this at all. Okay? So what can you do with this? What can you do with the Angular.json file? Okay. The Angular.json file can be used to manage multiple Angular projects, libraries from the same workspace folder. Build custom configuration for your project. Can build custom configuration for each of your projects or for one single project, and then you can manage different projects. Control the project Angular CLI. Now, this file controls the build process for your Angular CLI itself, not the global one, but not specific to your project. So you can say, for instance, whenever it's I want to serve when you are serving Angular using default port is 4200. So I can say for my project I want to change my port number to use another different port, right? So you can do that automatically using your Angular.json file as well. And then you can add third-party libraries to the Angular project. So libraries that Bootstrap, Moment, and stuff like that. You can add them using the Angular.json file. So that's some of what you can do with it. So now we're moving into the structure. So the structure of an Angular.json file. I mentioned this previously. I think I showed you what they are. So this is this part. Now these parts up here are what are created by default. We create a new Angular app. Is there new project is there, default project, all these are there. But these two, CLI and schematics, are not added automatically. They are only added when you need to do something by yourself, or you are using your Angular CLI to add some custom configuration. So this will be added to the Angular.json file by itself. Okay, Angular CLI updates the Angular.json file. You have to update it on your own. Okay? But when you have to update it on your own, there is something called schema. Guys, am I pronouncing this right? Schema. So there's something called schema that helps you. It's like it will prompt you, right? Like you can put it like that, prompt you to show you options you can use to edit the files, right? So it's for you to know what is the right way property name we can use, what is the options that is take, what are the options that doesn't go with init and stuff like that. So that's the schema just shows you the structure of the whole project, what is expected in the JSON file. Then the version is the configuration version for the Angular.json file itself. The schema is currently one, it's always one for now. Angular.json will update it by itself. New project root is the part where the new project will be created. For this, for most times, when you create a new default app, it is project. I'm going to show you that when it is project, yeah, new project root. When you create a new project file with Angular CLS, it's project by default. We can choose to change this. So this will be when you create a new project with Angular generates new application or Angular generates library. So you can choose to generate an application with Angular, or you can choose to generate a library with Angular. Those will live in this projects folder. It will be under this same directory. This is the project that new project root that I mentioned, and then this is your directory. This is your workspace. So this project, if it doesn't exist before, is going to create it again. When and it's going to create it for us. That's it. It has not even created that, but like it just it hasn't been created yet. Okay. So let me go back to the other slide. Okay, so projects are each individual project configuration. Now, you a single project, you have a single project ETU, which stands for end-to-end testing. Then this project is themselves have their own configuration as well. They are like different trees of so configurations. So I'll show you those very shortly as well. But like I said, if you don't need to edit them, you don't edit them. Okay. Then default projects is when you run commands such like ng new, ng generate, ng create, stuff like that. It takes a default project name. The default project name by default will be the project you created is the ng new. But then when you have two or more projects in your workspace that you are going to have shortly, you can choose to change your default project, and this will allow you to choose if I have project one for instance, which is my default, I can change to project two or project three. Is that making sense? So the CLI is for configuration of the Angular CLI. This particular bit was just added recently, but it's not most people don't really know about it. It allows you to change how your Angular CLI works with the command line interface, the Angular itself. So you can one of the things you can do there is you can choose to change your package manager. Now, when Angular adds a new library using ng or ng add, and you choose to add Angular Material or Angular Universal or PWA, for instance, it is added using npm. Who knows what npm is? Or who doesn't know what npm is? Okay, so have you heard of Yarn as well? And see npm. So they are all package managers, right? So you can choose. So using a CLI configuration, you can choose if I want to use npm as my package manager or yarn or cnpm, right? So that will allow you to choose the configuration manager that the package manager that you want. Then the schematics. The schematics is a very simple explanation of it is the schematic is the bedrock of Angular CLI. A more, it's like the very simplest explanation. Basically, it's what the CLI uses to build. They call it architect. It's what the CLI uses to create your project for you. So it has something like a blueprint, right? So when you imagine an object, you're having a blueprint, and then you have that blueprint, and then you are using to create copies. So that's what the schematic is. Okay. So I showed this previously, but here is how an Angular.json file looks like. This is collapsed, by the way. I'll show you if the full one later on, but this is the collapsed version. You have this stuff here. So you have the schema. The schema is added from node modules, Angular itself. So when you add a new Angular project, this is added automatically for you. Okay, so this is the schema, this is the version, this is the project root, these are the projects, and this is the first project, my Angular app, which is this app that I created. Okay, then this is the project structure. You have the E to E, you have the source, you have the modules. I'm not going to go into this because this is what this is about. One of the ones is Angular.json file, so let's stick with that. Okay, so I'm breaking down each of them, so I'm just going to move this very fast. Just move very quickly at this stage because I have very little time. So we have breakdown schema. Schema is used to annotate and validate the structure of JSON data. It is used by the Angular seller in order to enforce the specification of the Angular workspace schema. I think I explained this previously, but when you put stuff like if your code editor on your IDE or whatever choose to use, I use VS Code, right? When you put question mark or two quotes in the Angular.json file, it gives you options. These are the options that are left for this part, right? So you have CLI when you have schematic running. And then when I click on schematic, it's told me that it's an object. Then the object is expecting package manager default collection warnings. Then when you click on package manager, it's still going to give you other options. So just to allow you set the right option. That's just all the schematic. This is what the schematic there, that's what the schematic is used for. And then break down new project suite. So the parts where the new projects are created, this can be an absolute or really specific part of the workspace folder. This includes new app and library generated with the ng generate command. So an example of this is this ng generate application my test app. So I mentioned I created some test applications. One of the test application is this my test app. It's another Angular application within this same Angular applications. So we have two Angular applications so far. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I didn't create it by hand. I created this using this same tool, ng generate. So it generated a new application for me within my Angular application. So I have two applications here right now. And then it's told you here that it has created these files. Angular does all this for you. And then it's updated the Angular.json. That's why it is yellow. Angular CLI updates the Angular.json file by itself. It's telling you the bytes that it has written. So it is managed by Angular CLI by itself. We will have to get some. So it's updated the Angular.json file to reflect the new application that has been added. Okay, and then here in my project folder, this is what I told you previously. I told you that it's going to create a new folder, and it has. Yeah, oh, sorry about that. Okay, yeah. Okay. So it has created a new project here. Then it's create this is a new project that the new application I just created, my test app. And then when you create a new application with Angular CLI, it creates two projects for you, or two apps for you. Right? It creates the app itself and then it creates something called the app hyphen or dash E2E, which stands for end-to-end testing. Okay. And then here is the project root. And then I did something. I think I changed this project root to be something else. And then I run another command to create another app. And then I'm going to show you what the output is. Yeah. So here it is. So I changed the project root. Okay. I changed the project root and then I ran another command to create another application. There is a new application. So now I have three apps. Does that make sense? Now I have three applications within this single workspace. I have one here. This source is another app. There is another app, and there is another app. That's the Angular applications. Okay. So um, that's for the project roots. Okay, so breakdown projects. Now the project is the next part of the Angular.json file. It's that part that I told you was collapsed. It's much longer, very, very long. Right? It's basically the composition for all the projects that exist within that workspace. So I have about three projects right now. So it's all the configuration for these three projects plus their end-to-end files. That's about six configurations. Right? So I'll show you some of them, but don't go too much into details. So here are each project in the workspace has some of these properties. Now each project in the workspace, each project in that Angular.json file has some of these properties. You have the root, you have the source root. You don't need to know this stuff by the way. I'm just telling you so you know when you have to update it, when you have to edit it, you know where to look for it and what it does and to have a basic idea of how it works. Okay? So you have the root, you have the source root, you have the project that you have the prefix, schematics, and architects. And here is the explanations. Okay. So the root directory for the project file, same thing for main project. Now, I mentioned how I have about six Angular projects right now. Speaking of them, I have about three Angular projects right now, right? So what differs them, what differentiates them is the project route. For one of them, we have one that is stated with project and then the project name. Then we have another one that started with my other project and then the application name. Right. For those ones, the root directory is project slash the application name or my other project slash the application name. That is the root for those files. Then the source root is the root to the source files themselves. In this case, most Angular app was like source. Does that make sense? I showed you that previously. You have E to E, you have source, you have those other folders. That folder, that source there is the source root of your application. It's where all your Angular files lives. Then the next part is type of the project. Now you currently have two for this type. You have either application or library. Those are the two application types of projects you can have within an Angular workspace. You either have an application or a library. So the next part is the prefix applied to all Angular generated selectors. Now, I'm not sure I showed this within here, but if you notice when both of them give their talk, there's something about app selectors there. So the app selectors there, it's dependent by default it is app, but you can choose to change it to either be your project name, for instance, not your work. So any components that you generate with any generate components, style, director, whatever that you wish to generate, it will prepend those with the prefix. So if it was my one that you selected, it's going to be my workspace, my component name, okay, or my workspace, my directive. Does that make sense? So that's the prefix. It will apply for all that is generated within that workspace, within that project. So you can set this project by project. Okay. So we can also choose to customize the schematic option for this project as well. So the schematic controls the schematic, the setting, the option for the RNG generator. So you can choose that, you can change that as well. And the Angular architect builder targets for this project. Configure tags such as build, serve, links. Now there are about 3 or 4 or 5 categories about that project. There is build, that's when you want to build the project files. There is serve when you are serving it and you're developing it. There is lint when you need to lint your files to make sure that they are up to standard. Then there's test when you wish to run test when you wish to run test on your code or when you write your test and you wish to run them. So I think there are more of that. I can't remember, but these are the ones that these are the Angular builder architects. So here is a very typical example of a full. This is a project within the project tab. This is one of those projects, my test app. So you have the root. The root is project slash my test app. The source root is project slash my test app slash source. Okay. Then the type is application. The prefix is app. No schematic. Architect, you have build. So the build is using build option. Angular dev kit. Angular dev kit is a package used for Angular development. So it's what all these are coming from. So the output part. Now, why I'm actually going through this is one of the options conversion we are most likely to want to change is this output part. Okay, so when you build for production, that's when you are serving your file. You want to serve it on your web host or on GitLab pages or anywhere else. You have to copy anything that's here and you upload it to upload. But you can choose to change the name, and there is already changed the name. So by default, when you run engine build, it's going to build this for you. It's going to create this folder space the project name. Does that make sense? So if you want to change that, every you are going to change this. So the rest of them are just normal generic, where the index part is, the main file, the polyfill CS config, and the rest of your assets. So this is an example project, and here are all the files. So here is file browser support, production file replacement, and stuff like that. I'm just going to go into more details. This just to show you a full app. Sorry, divided into two. So you have AOT, you have extra license, you have vendor, a whole lot of them. So the first one was build. This is build. That's what architects. The second one is serve. The third one is extract. I L it's yeah, I know that. I think the shortening is for internal.
Realization. It's just like accessibility, but this one is not that.
Yeah. So you are writing in English, for instance. Someone in French can easily understand what you are saying. What you are saying. Someone with German and the rest of them. So it's for translation and to make it easier for other people who don't understand the language you go to the project. So then you have tests and what else?
Late.
Yeah, test and then so yeah, I think that's all. These are the defaults that Angular still libraries for you. Okay, so now quick question, just to make sure that we are on the same page. Can you see or should I do it? Can you answer or should I do it? You can see. So quick question, can you spell the difference between them? This is a package, this is another package. What's the difference between them? Just tell me what you observe. Okay, I should zoom in a bit. So I'm not sure I can control my Zoom type. So I'm just going to show you. Here is the first one. Just to be fast, so I really have still some other grounds to cover. So here's the first one. Um,
This
we have
is
this.
an app, the other one is a library.
Okay, one. Mr. Ben said one is an app, one is a library. Any other, anything else to note?
Uh, the, the
There's
library
another
does
for
not,
them.
the library does not have self the self object, the self command doesn't have that, and it also does not have schematics. Doesn't have schematics as well.
Uh,
When the root is empty,
Yes,
or
we have.
but then it's
That
not
one
empty for
has.
the library. That's right. That's almost everything. But yeah, so the root here is empty because this is the root application that was created with Angular. This is the default application. So that's where you have the root section. And then the source root is the source. Okay. Then this has a different a schematic applied to it. It has a style type of SCSS. It's a preprocessor for CSS. And then using change detection on push method. And then this one, for instance, doesn't have any custom configuration apart from the fact that it's using a different project name from source root. Right, so this is a different project. This is a different project root that I set previously, right? And then this doesn't have serve because when you are serving an Angular project, serving an library for you as well, so you don't need except you are building it. Okay, so yeah, that's okay. So another question: can you spot the difference? I think this is the second one. Then we have one last one, and then we can be able to go. So this is another list. This is the first one. You have rules, you have projects, you have projects, you have application projects. Can you spot the difference, or is there any difference at all?
So
They can't
no like
like no difference. Yeah. There's no difference. There's no difference at all. So that's all. They are both Angular project. They are both Angular project that were created using the ng generate application command. So both of them are projects. Both of them have the same progression. Apart from them living in different folders. Okay. So the last one is this. This one is a bit more challenging. So can you spell the difference between them?
this is the initial project generated the first one, and that one is the other one.
And then it has a different prefix.
Yes.
So when you are creating a new component with this one, it has to prefix it with this. So it will be surround anything else. So that's all for this part. And then so how can you make use of it? You can make how can you make use of all the stuff we just spoke about? How can you make use of Angular.json file? So you can change the directory engine build production. You can change the default directory that is created. You can change the port for it. You can add access to the project. You can change the default app prefix for generated selectors. You can change the schematic for the app. So going into more details. Um, so this shows you how to change the directory for production. So you use it for changing directory, update the app part, and if the folder does not exist, it will be created by the Angular CLI. So where is it over here? So this is what you edit if you want to change the attribute to build for you. Then you want engine build. Okay. Changing the port when you serve an Angular project. Now, this might be useful when you're running your test together, when you have another process running using that for that you wish to change it. And a simpler way of doing that is when you're running engines that you put ports in front of it and then you set your ports. But you can also change it using your Angular.json file, right? So in your build options, in your serve is the task. In the options, you add part. So you just start typing your code editor will show you the options. So port comes up and then you can choose the port number. So next time I'm serving, or next time you are serving, it changes the port it's listening to. So by default, Angular serves on 4200, but now it's listening on 5000. Okay. Okay. So adding assets to the file. Here's why I said it to be useful. So when you're adding assets to the file, this one will be compiled with your app. So by default, Angular has this for you. You have the source, favicon, asset, and stuff. So everything in the assets will be copied over to your build, right? But then you can choose to add more fast to it. Now, not only that, you can also choose to set the place that you want it to be. Very useful for when you are doing, you want to have more control over where your files are living, or you want to do asset control, stuff like that. So you can choose, you can do blob. Blob is a module that does this for you. So this copies everything from this part to this part, right? Same for this. This copies this value from here to this, from this input. That's it is in this root and paste it in the root of the attribute. So in that case, instead of it being in that set, to be in the root of your build folder. Okay. Um, you can also copy file from outside Angular as well. So if you have a file that is not within the Angular project, you just link to it directly, and then it's going to copy it when it is building for production. It's going to always for it on Angular production or another live test version. But then when it's building, it's going to copy the file from wherever it is to where you want it to be. So it's going to create this folder if it doesn't exist. So that's a typical example using the asset file. So okay. So you can choose to change the default app prefix as well, and I think I showed you how to do this here. So this changes the app prefix for this app, and change. You can choose to change the schematic for your app as well. Another typical example is this, which shows you how to change the schematic for your application for this application. And I think that's it. Yeah. So helpful links, I'm going to leave this open. So if you need to know, find out more information about Angular JSON for iPhone or stuff like that. So thank you very much. Any questions? No questions.
My question is, I just got into just one question.
Yeah, I was going to say something about that. Angular.io is your best resource to learn Angular. As a beginner, Angular.io, that's the official documentation. That's the first place you want to go to know about Angular. Then you can also look up courses on Udemy. You can also check out crash courses on YouTube. But Angular.io is the first resource you want to look at.
So I need to be learning project